Art Deco and Art Nouveau are pretty much exactly the same thing. Like you couldn't tell the difference, okay? So the words Art Deco, if you go see Art Deco art and Art Nouveau, they're the same. They look exactly the same. They're just fads, okay? All right, let's go back to our okay, so covered that. Right now, I'm just going to cover everything that's on the test, and we're going to jump into see what time we have for the AI, and then next week we're going to do the big overview of the entire timeline on history, okay? Which is not going to be on the test, the entire timeline. Just some questions from it. Mostly we're focusing on modernism on this test because that's where we've been the last month. So this is Art Nouveau, so you can see. Now the question I asked you is who was the other person who did things that were similar to this? Because these are printed, these are block prints. Who created the printing press? It's on your test. Albert Durr. Albert Durr, remember the guy with the hands, praying hands? He created the printing press, okay? And that was in the Renaissance, late Renaissance, high Renaissance. So here we are at a different time period, and this is being expanded upon. It was expanded upon already, but this is where it becomes its own, it develops into a new thing. Because these are block prints, and then they become used for advertising. Kind of similar, it starts to change. You want to take a printing class? You learn all this stuff. Okay, so these are all prints. So they would carve them out into wood, or then we had like plasticky things. So they may be more like rubber versus like Albert Durr was all wood. We are in a new era, we have different equipment. And they can print with color as well. So this is just a big modern push towards something different. Okay. Now this is another one you need to know, Fauvism. Who was here and remembers this? Matisse. Anybody remember me going over this one? Yes? No? Matisse. Henri Matisse, very famous, okay? You have to know him. You have to know his art. And he's the only one who did this art besides a couple followers. Like, it's real fad. It's kind of like, who? It's kind of like Prince when he changed his name to a symbol and nobody else did. You guys know that? Did we go over that? Prince changed his name to a symbol. He no longer was a name. Anyway, I can show you on the internet. I don't want to go there right now because that will be jumping around too much. I'm just going to stay here. But Prince did change his name to a symbol and no longer was called Prince. And that was sort of what this is, because it's like this fad that happened and nobody follows. Nobody followed this fad. Of course, I think Prince was a little cooler than this one. So he is pretty much very famous in his lifetime. And it is all about bright colors and cutouts. So even if the paintings, this one doesn't look like it's cut out, it looks like it's cut out, even though it's not cut out. So you do an art class and everybody takes out all kinds of colored paper and you get the pens, and maybe you did this in elementary school and or high school, and you glued things down on paper, made a collage. Here it comes from. You can tell your teacher, whoever you're doing that with, oh, it's a Matisse thing. Okay, that's Matisse. He created the collage. He is the collage creator. Nobody created it but him. So here he does it again. He'll cut out images, he'll glue them down, and he'll paint them. So here we are in modern age where everything and anything goes, and being experimental is cool. That's it. That's all I have on him, because it was fast. He was fast. It was a fast. Then there's Cubism. Now I'm not going to ask you to label Picasso's name. I haven't been asking you to label names, have I? Of artists or time periods. You will never take another art history class like that, by the way, again. that's something you can write if people don't like to label time periods and memorize times and names. I don't like to memorize times and names. And the reason I don't like to I know all these times and names because I go over them and over them, but I don't like to do it in a test setting because I'm dyslexic. And when I took tests as a kid, I would go, or even as an adult, my eyes would like start to get blurry. I know the pressure of that. So I'm not putting that kind of pressure on you, but I still need you to take tests. I'm doing it in a way that's kind of gentle, and I feel like it's available for success. And I'm a visual person, so I can visually spot that this is cubism. Can you? Can you visually spot it with your eyes? Whereas maybe memorizing that it's Pablo Picasso and it's 1905 might be a little harder. Or even a little irrelevant, perhaps, in your world. Does it matter to you? Anyway, this matters, that you can spot a Cubist painting. And it doesn't have to be Pablo Picasso. There's lots of different Cubist painters. And they all look alike. A lot of them look alike. So, this was a little slideshow. We've already looked at some Picasso. No, we don't need to look at a ton of Picasso, do we? We have a lot to cover. But Picasso is just one of many Cubist artists, okay? So let me just show you that. If you Google Cubist artists, of course you're gonna get Picasso, but look at, they call all these guys Cubist artists to really confuse you. Do you think Frida Kahlo's a Cubist artist? Why is Google so dumb? Why is Google so dumb? Don't trust Google. Don't trust Google. Google is a computer algorithm that's about 2 years old. I mean, maybe it's longer than that, but that's how like his Google's developmental stage is about a 2-year-old. We are soon going to be at 25-year-old, 50-year-old developmental stage in AI, like really fast in the next 10 years. Where we are right now, as you can tell, is at the very tiny brain development, right? So Google doesn't have all the answers. Anyway, don't trust Google. So let's just go images, see what they say. Here is Cubist art. Now, I love how Google does this when you Google like an artist. You Google Cubist art, and what do you get? You get lots of Cubist art. You even get people today who just created that painting of the Winnie the Pooh in a Cubist format, and it pops up. Okay, because that is Cubist art, by the way. It can be digital Cubist art. That's Cubist art. Obviously, that's not authentic. So now you guys are art entrepreneurs. You're art intelligent. I know you are after taking my class. That's one thing you could write. I have learned art intelligence. Okay, so now you can see, you can spot out the genuine. Who can spot out the genuine ones? And I mean like the ones from the time period Cubism was created in. Can you guys see it? Anyone? What about this one? Does this one look genuine? Yes, that one looks genuine. And what about this one? It's not. Probably not, but you could open it up and click and see. Yeah, we're just having a game here. All right, let's go back. Okay. So we talked about Cubism, Expressionism. We talked about Futurism. That will be on the test. And this image will be there too. It's not like I'm being very strict. There's other images of Futurism that I could throw in there, and I did before, and it really confused people. So I'm not going to do that to you. Okay, this is Futurism. It's the most basic, the most simple, easy to see. There are other ones. If I change my mind, put in a different one, it would be mechanical. It would be mechanical, right? so here we have futurism. Now, I might want to pick one of these images, not necessarily, I'm not sure which one. Let's say I picked this one. Would you know? For your test, would you know? Does it look too different? This one might look a little too different. But that one, it's war. That's what futurism. Industrial, military, complex. Industrial, military, complex. The world we all live in today, futurism noticed it developing like a baby. There it goes, it's developing. And now we live it. All right. Abstract expressionism. Abstract expressionism. This is not abstract expressionism. What is this? What? Huh?
A toilet.
A toilet. Oh yeah, it's the death of art. I know, art died here, but nothing really dies, right? It's just, it died as it was, and it literally did die as it was, like a snake, to be retransformed into something else. It will never be the same after this moment in time. So here is, it's written right there, Dadaism. It's a thing. It's a thing, and you have to know it's a thing. Okay, abstract expressionism, New York. That is, I can just show you the little video again. Here we have it. The empty canvases that you're going to pay $2 million for, aren't you? You're not. Well, if you want to be cool, you want to be invited to the right parties, you might just have to. These people were the coolest people on earth, okay? If you could sell a painting that has nothing on it, you're damn freaking cool. Anyway, it wasn't just nothing. It was stuff too. That's stuff. Anyway, that's what that is. Okay, does Jackson Pollock fit into abstract expressionism? Yes or no? Yes is the answer. Yes is the answer. Does Kandinsky fit into abstract expressionism? Yes is the answer. I have so many to choose from. I don't know which one I'll pick from. Abstract expressionism is everything. Okay, it's everything. It's everything, but it's a type, it's a niche. Remember I talked about, this is what we're gonna go into Thursday. This is exactly what I'm gonna go into Thursday, so be here, it'll be good, all right? Thursday is going to be like my lecture, that is, I'm actually having it videoed. It's going to be something I'm going to put out towards TEDx. It's something that's really important because it's about the entire encompass of everything this class is, all in 1 hour and 10 minutes. I'm going to compact it. Good luck, right? That and that. Right? We've been there and we've been here. What do you guys think of that? What is that development? Is that progress? Is that human consciousness? What is that? Any thoughts?
It's like a culture change for sure.
Culture change? Absolutely. So what does he mean by culture change? How is that a culture change? Give me an example of that being a culture change. It's not a representation of something you can see. It can be something you can feel. But how is this reflecting the culture that it's in? What was this culture? This period, just to remind you, is Gothic art. A little bit Gothic, real early Renaissance. Okay, overlap, real early Renaissance. Where are we There. Think jazz. Jazz, 1920s. Jazz, 1920s, early Gothic. We're all human. We were all humans in these time periods, having we had the same brain, same bodies. We had different belief systems, different programming going on in our systems, but these are a reflection of the society and the rules within that society. You can write an entire essay just on this. Okay, then we have Kandinsky. Such an interesting character. Of course, all these artists are, right? Do you like the artist characters out of the movies you've watched? What do you think? You want to meet them? Invite them to your family dinner? Okay, so this is Jackson Pollock. And you guys all watched about him. Okay. Modern art. This is abstract expressionism. Jackson Pollock. Minimalism on the test. What is minimalism not? Everything. Minimalism is not everything. That board right there is minimalism, and it's a piece of art. Okay. It's influenced by, on the test, Japanese Zen art. We all could use a little bit of that in our lives. The nice thing, if you go into a real Japanese restaurant, you sit on the floor, an authentic one. You have bamboo plants around you, which are very soothing. You have a little waterfall drink, right? And it relaxes you, creates a meditative state. This is what influenced the art period. Now we go into psychology, and we are going to have questions on psychology, just the stuff I talked about in class, nothing outside of the class. But the id, the ego, and the superego, who created that? Who discovered that? You guys all know that. That's Freud. Talked about surrealism. Should all be able to identify a surrealist painting now because we spent a lot of time there. Why would I spend so much time in surrealism? Why would I spend so much time in surrealist land? Why do you guys think I would spend more time in surrealist land than in abstract land? Personal opinion, personal thoughts, personal bias. What do you guys think? If you were a teacher, would you? Maybe. There's more there. There's more to look at. There's more to discover. It goes deeper, right? It's not that it's a better art period. It's that it's a deeper art period. It has more things connected to it because it has psychology. So it's more complex. So there's more time to talk about it. We could talk about abstract expressionism, and people love abstract expressionism, and so do I. You know, it's energy. But there's a difference between a lightning bolt of energy, right, and deep philosophical thoughts and conversation. They're different, right? And those are the kind of differences that we're dealing with abstract expressionism and surrealism. So surrealism has more to it, so we can discuss it more. And that is why I spent more time on it. Okay? Because like you could diagnose this painting of the clock, and you can't really do that with the Jackson Pollock. You can't diagnose it. You can't go, well, that splatter of paint meant he was really pissed at his girlfriend at that time. And there he just got tired and lazy, wanted to finish things. You can't see that because that information's not there, because that painting's not about information at all. This painting's about information. And the beautiful dynamics of the people themselves, because the actors of this time period were the art. Their lives, their existential, creative bizarre, breaking all the laws and rules lives is the art and the experience. Okay. And George O'Keeffe. I'm talking about all three of them. Okay, get over here. All right, so we have, okay, now I gotta go into a new thing, a new thing. We didn't talk about this one yet, and it's gonna be on your test, so here we go, new, what time is it? Okay, we're running out of time. This class goes by fast, you guys. I don't have enough time. Okay. We're going to talk about the Four Noble Truths. Buddhism. You know, I did get to talk about Christianity a little bit, right? I got to talk about Christianity because we looked at Christian art. And now I'm going to talk about Buddhism because we're going to look at tiny tad, whole class on this, okay? Does not give it justice. The reason I'm doing this is because I have actually a personal interest in, I went to India. I lived in India for a year, went back again a year. I studied with the monks Thangka painting. Actually, my mother just sent me the painting that I had brought back from India. I have a photo of it. You guys want to see it? It's Thangka paintings. Do you know what Thangka paintings are? They're painted on fabric. And they follow a lot of rules. And the Buddhists are very much about rules, okay? So they have their whole rule system, just like Christianity has a Bible. The Buddhists have their Buddhist texts, and you follow it just the same. It has very strict rules. But within this text, there are four main truths. Life has inevitable suffering. There is a cause to our suffering. There is an end to our suffering. The end to suffering is contained in the Eightfold Path. So now you have to open the next page. It's the Bible of Buddhism. And basically, it goes on to talk about a way of life. Now, I'm not going to get into that way of life too much. I'm not going to get into Eightfold Path. You can study it on your own. But basically, it's very similar to the Christians. It's do no harm and karma and different things. It's almost identical. Okay, that's why we're all one. We're all one, living under one sky. Anyway, I'm going to get back to that because I have the slideshows a little out of order. Because we're going to go into why I talked about that in a second. But I forgot I need to cover two more things. So rewind for 2 seconds. And don't call me disorganized. All right, this is pop art. I had that slideshow, it should be at the bottom. It's human nature. This is pop art. You guys will all see it because it will pop out at you. And you'll be like, that's pop art. Nobody's going to get that one wrong, right? There is no other art that looks like pop art. Comics do. That's it. Op art. There is no other art that looks like op art except for digital art. It's an optical illusion. It will be on the test. It's going to be a pull-down test of like 5 or 6 art eras with the picture. So click on the right one. You get 3 tries. So there's 4 or 5 questions. You can't just guess and get it right, but you get plenty of attempts. Okay, that's opt art. I'm not going to talk about that one. Photorealism, I'm going to talk about. That's photorealism. He's the only one I'm going to use. Chuck Close. I'm not going to throw in another photorealist because we didn't talk about any other photorealism. There's plenty. I'm not doing that to you. You guys can do this. Photorealism is Chuck Close. You'll recognize him. Even with the fact that you can see the little pores on his face, that's photorealism. He's not the only one who does it, and people do it today all the time, and they're freaking geniuses. Okay, geniuses. All right. Of course, we have all kinds of tools now. Now remember, these guys don't think, oh my God, I can't do that. They have projectors. They are projecting the images. They're tracing them. They have so many tools. They have the computer by them. They can digitally blow up. Okay, so we always get so caught up in the final piece, like they're just miracle makers. No, you can do it too. You can do it too. You have the tools at your disposal. And you just take a couple art classes and you can do anything you want. You can do anything just as good. This was blown up on a projector. There is ample help for artists. You don't have to be magical to be an artist, okay, or super talented. So I get a little frustrated when people think that. Artists from the past use tools, artists today use tools. That's photorealism. All right, this will be on your test. Who knows what it is? Huh. I feel like it's important, so I am putting it there. The VARA Act. It will be a multiple choice question, and I will trick you. So they have to act. Okay? Any questions on that? Guess what? This slideshow is also open book. So you can literally go to my slideshow and go to the VARA Act. I haven't seen any of your faces pop up on my slideshow like ever, so I know you never know. Some of you. Anyway, this is I just want to show you this real quick. This is art today. Then we'll go back to the Buddhism part. A little jumping around, I know. Bear with me. This is art today. So if you want to go to a modern hotel in New York, who's been to New York lately? You have? You've seen some modern art? So like there's modern art and classical art, right? But a lot of buildings want to be modern, or they'll like say what they are, right? So some hotels will decide they're going to be classical, and then you won't have this experience. But some will be, a lot of them want to be modern, and then you'll walk through, and literally on the wall is like art installations that you can touch, and you know it's AI everywhere. And if you go to Japan or if you go to China, you can pretty much just walk down the street and experience an AI installation. Who's been there, done that? Anyone? Tokyo? Well, you've seen it on TV. You can literally just walk down the streets and it's literally an AI installation in your face art. So art's everywhere now, right? I'm sure you guys can tell me more about that as you go travel and stuff. Okay, so let's go back to our slideshow. And I just want to show you one more thing, which is called visionary art. This is also on your slideshow. Now this is kind of an interesting art period, and it goes, sorry for throwing the Buddhism a little early, because it connects to the Buddhism now. This art is modern, so you can go see Alex Gray in New York right now. He's extremely famous. But he started in the 60s, him and his wife. And he was influenced by LSD. Okay, now a lot of this artwork that you're gonna see is influenced by these psychedelic drugs. Don't do drugs. They're not necessary, but I'm just telling you, they were influenced by this time period. Why? Because how did LSD come into America? Does anybody know? CIA. Who said that? CIA. Thank you. Brought LSD into America, World War II. Why would they do that? They tested it on people. Remember all those insane asylums? They were testing LSD. Now they're still like playing around with LSD for like in tiny micro doses for depression and different things. And you can see that in the medical field. I'm not making this up, and I am not a drug addict or advocate. I don't do drugs, but it's a part of our culture, and it influenced our world in a negative, positive way. Both. That's what drugs do. Everything has a negative and positive, even war. Okay, oh my God. All right, so this was an influence of this time period. It's hallucinogenics, and they did come in through the CIA, and they were used on the human population as an experiment, and people were documented. So my parents, who were born in 1950 and were like young lovers in the 60s, or late 60s, you know, because they met at UC Berkeley. Remember I told you my parents met at UC Berkeley? That's the wild time. They were all being experimented on, especially UC Berkeley itself. The school system was monitoring this stuff. Like it was legal. Like they were monitoring it. I'm not kidding. You guys can look it up. My parents weren't really into LSD. They were more into holistic medicine, but there was a whole group of them. So I just want to show you that, and then let's go to Alex Gray. His work is freaking phenomenal. I mean, like, you don't even have to take a hallucinogenic. You just go look at his work, and you get that experience. Okay? So he's very, very, very famous, billionaire, and he owns him and his wife, okay? Both of them are artists. They're also a team. You notice we've had a lot of partnership team artists. He's one of those. And some of the more people who have more Christian leanings might not like his work, maybe even call it darker, but he is really into some esoteric stuff, okay? But he's extremely famous. And he makes, these are paintings, but he makes installations that you can walk into and experience them. So let's go to his gallery. So he's very talented, and he has a huge group of artists that work for him, so you can go get hired there if you want. And this is his installation. So you walk through, you can walk through the art world, and you can have it's called Sacred Mirrors. And each one of the bodies is anatomically absolutely correct. So he breaks down the body like that. And he's really into like chakra systems, and not just chakra, but like, you see how this connects back to Indian art? Okay, this sign, this is the Tibetan sign, okay, that they put on the thangkas. This is the language. So do you see that this is holding this is what the Tibetan thangkas do. They hold these symbols, and each one has a deep story behind it. So he's taking all this imagery from the Eastern Europe. It's like pretty much mostly India, Nepal, Tibet, and then some of the other Asian countries as well, because they all follow Buddhism. But they all have different styles of Buddhism. It's very complicated. But Tibetan Buddhism in particular has a certain style. You know, the hand on the eye and everything. And so you can see he's very influenced by that. So let's go back. So each one of these paintings has a deep meaning. Here we have George Washington with lots of pot leaves around him. Maybe he needed to smoke a pot. I don't know what the meaning behind that is.
It's referring to his vision.
What?
It's referring to a vision he had.
So you know Alex Gray? His work?
Or well, because hallucination stuff, he has a recorded vision that he had.
Oh, okay.
That's I think that's what it's referring to.
Oh, cool. Thanks for sharing that. So this is referring to a vision of his. Yeah, each one of these has like a story, right? That you could read about. I mean, I don't know them. They're pretty crazy. But I think he is the top-notch visionary artist. Like, I don't think anybody else beats him as far as talent, skill, esoteric knowledge, historical knowledge. There's more. There's some more. Let's see if I can find some good stuff here. He's really into like the body, the human anatomy. So these are all of our nerves in our body, right? And so everything's absolutely accurate. You know, he's interested in this dynamic, the Holy Three of a family. He paints this over and over again, where you have the three hearts united. And lots of eyes. But yeah, this is his work. Very psychedelic. But that's the name of it. The name of this work is visionary, because what I want to talk about is the difference between this and surrealism. What's the difference between visionary art and surrealist art? And I think I'll put it on the test. What's the difference between visionary art and surrealist art? Does it feel surrealist to you? No. To anyone else? Back there. Do you remember what surrealist art looked like? Okay, so what's the difference? You just want me to tell you? Is this a dream? We only have a couple minutes. Come on, you guys. Is this a dream? Is this a dream? Or is this a recording? He is recording something that's actually on 3D planet Earth in our bodies. And our energy system is our energy system. Okay, so if you understand, who knows acupuncture? Okay, you guys know acupuncture. Thank God. Okay, okay. Acupuncture is Chinese medicine. And it's where you take tiny little needles, and my dad was an acupuncturist. Not all of you have to know it, but you have to know it. Okay, now you have to know it because I'm telling you, so please listen. It's where you take tiny needles and you put them on the meridians of your body. So when you have a headache, you put them on your toe. Because there is an energetic meridian line that goes from your toe, back your neck, to your head. And that tiny little pressure relieves the headache. And it also relieves so many things, okay? When I was in childbirth, I had a natural childbirth, and I had acupuncture during it. Totally helped me through the whole thing, believe it or not. These are incredible medicines, okay? They're ancient, ancient medicines. He is showing that in his artwork. So that's not a dream. So you have a pineal gland in your third eye. We talked about this. This relates back to the Egyptians. I know I have to check class. But this is the most exciting thing for me, maybe not you. Remember the pineal gland, which is your third eye? In India, they wear a bindi. They don't wear it because it's pretty. They wear it because they have a third eye, and they know it. And all of their Buddhas have the third eye painted on top and on their hands. Why? Because they can see. They don't have to see with their eyes. They can see with their third eye, just like you can. That is the vision, whether you believe it or not. It's actually scientifically proven. That's where your dreams come from. But that's the visions that the hallucinogenics bring out, because they activate that part of your brain, which is your third eye. That's why people like them, but you don't have to use them to get that. Meditate. That is art. I think that's it. So you guys can go. I'll see you.